Hey, so I just got done teaching this information to real estate brokers, and I thought, what a great thing to share with all my clients and Sphere. So, whether you're a buyer or a seller, this information could be very important to you. What we're going to be looking at, let me get this thing set up just a moment. What we're going to be looking at are the four things that you need to know about pricing a property. And again, whether you're a buyer or a seller, it really doesn't make any difference. So what we're going to be looking at are these four things. We're going to look at the months of available inventory, how to look at reports for 3 years and 90 days, what the active competition means to you, and then wide area of sold activity as well. So these are, again, four steps that we go through to price properties. Not every broker does this. Everybody has their own system. But I've found over the past 30 years, this is really what makes sense. So let's start with months of inventory. What is months of inventory? It's the available properties divided by the sold properties in a 30-day period of time. What that gives you is this number. If no other properties came on the market over the next 30 days, we'd be completely out of homes. Well, it's kind of a silly thought because, of course, there's more properties coming on. But this number really tells us about the activity that's going on in the marketplace. Less than 3 months is going to be a seller market or the seller advantage. Why is that? Because there's going to be fewer homes for buyers to go through. So each home is going to get more interest, more activity, fewer buyer contingencies when offers do come in, typically higher offers when they come in, and prices go up. Now, if we go over 6 months, then we're going into a buyer market. That buyer market is going to be fewer homes being toured by buyers because there's more on the market. Therefore, there's fewer buyer showings, more contingencies on offers. Sellers are typically more willing to negotiate, and prices tend to drift down. So, in looking at this, one thing is true and one thing is always true. The best homes, priced right, presented well, will sell first and always sell for more money. So, if you're looking for a deal in a market that's a seller market, don't look at properties that are brand new on the market. That's not where the deals are. The deals are on properties that have been on the market far beyond the median days on the market. Your broker can help you with that. So two more things that are always true as well. And that is sellers will get top dollars if they list with the right broker that can guide them through the process, have a great list price strategy, a preparation strategy, have transparency in everything about that property in the area, and a great presentation. And buyers, on the flip side of the coin, will always get their offer accepted, well, usually get their offer accepted, if they have the right broker that knows how to deal with strategies and dealing with the other broker and buyer, offer price strategy, fully approved loan or underwritten loan, seller-friendly terms, not in the jeopardy of my client, the buyer, but seller-friendly terms and a substantial earnest money. So all of these things, your agent, your broker can go through these with you. They're very, very important. So market trends, that we look at a 3-year report and we look at a 90-day report, because sellers quite often, buyers quite often get stuck in numbers that are old, maybe 3, 2, 1 year old, maybe 90 days old, and the market's moving forward. And that 90-day report, so we can really get a grip on what is going on in the really micro market or micro time period that we're dealing with here. It's extremely important when you're looking at what the strategic price is going to be for you. Again, buyer or seller. So this is the 3-year report. We go back 3 years and a quarter, the same quarter that we're in at this point in time. And what we're going to look at is the grouping of properties that are the most prevalent in the market or selling better, or they're listed more. Depending on how you want to look at it, it really doesn't matter. But that's going to be the bulk of your market. If you're below the bulk of that market, it's going to be tougher finding property. If you're above the bulk of that market, it's going to be easier finding properties. So that bulk is what we're looking at. We look at the days on the market and we look at the price. Now we go to the 30, 60, 90-day report. And in a 30, 60, 90-day report, we're going to look over there on the far right. You're going to see a number 104, 105. That is the percentage over the list price, or the original list price is what I tend to look at when the property actually sells. Then we look at the price. We look at days on the market because we want to know if the market's getting faster or slower. And then over on the side, on the left side, we look at the number of units that were sold in that particular 30-day period of time. On the far left of the screen, sold the first week. I find this data point to be extremely important. And if you look at this, from 0 to 30 at the bottom, 78%, 83%, 78%. That means 78% of the properties are selling in that first week. So let's just say 80%. 20% aren't. They're probably selling in the second week in the market we're in right now. But this number can vary. It might be 40% are selling in the first week. That's all great because that means there's going to be more properties going beyond the median days on the market, which might be the deals that the deal person is looking for. So this is a graph that I've supplied for. We're not going to go over this because it's too complicated in this video, but it shows how days on the market is created. What the interest rates, the bottom one shows you interest rates and sold volume. The top one is going to be showing you the properties on the market and the homes sold and homes on the market. Again, we're not going through this now, but it will be here for you. So if you want to go over it and take a look at it. Now we're going to look at the competition, identify comps and make adjustments. So when we go through this, we can't always get these numbers, but it'll be good for example. 24 properties that are possibilities. Then we whittle it down to 12 properties that are somewhat similar to the subject property. And then we whittle it down again to the 2 to 4 properties that are most like the subject property. Once we've done that, we'll go through so I can show either my buyer or my seller. I can say, this is why we threw these out. This is why we kept these. And these are the properties that we're keeping. We throw those into a spreadsheet so that we can look at what is probably or perceptionally going to be the sold price or listed price of the property. Now, again, buyer or seller doesn't make any difference. You're all looking at the same information. So now, once we've done that, now we've got to make some adjustments. And the physical adjustments that we make are location, size, style, bed, bath, amenities, and the condition of the property. The data adjustments, sometimes the pricing history, maybe it went off the market several times. Why did it come back on the market? We may need to find that out. Also, the date sold. If it was sold, oh gosh, let's just say 2 months down the road, that's all great, but have we had appreciation since then? So when a buyer's creating their offer, they can't look at just this old price. Maybe that old price is appreciated 4 or 5%. The tax factor and dollar per square, we're going to talk about that in just a little bit. So there's other things we look at also. We compare the property 3 ways. We look at dollars per square foot. We look at the tax factor, how the sold price is in relation to the assessed value. And then we also look at the adjusted comparable properties like we just talked about. Homes most like yours, adjusted for time, location, size, and amenities. Now, if you're a consumer watching this video, you can see that picking a price should not be just, well, I think it should be $1 million. Well, I think it should be $370,000. Don't settle for that. Make sure your broker shows you how they came up with the price. It's pretty important. Once we've gone through that, now saleability. This is something that is forgotten by most every broker that you're going to sit down with. Saleability. We've come up with a price, but what does that even mean in the market? Is anybody even going to look at your property? So saleability means we're going to look at a wider market area and we're going to see what is selling, what's active, where does your property fit in this whole thing? We look at a logical sequence of events in order to get that. So here's what that means. We're gonna do a double check looking at price and square foot. This is the sold properties. And the property that we're dealing with here is somewhere around 1.6 million and somewhere around 2,400 square feet. And so that dealing with that property, this is where we are. Now you see the green and the red arrows on the side. We'd really like to be above what the median is, and we'd like to be below what the median is. And so it's best to be below. Middle is okay, and that's kind of where we are. Now, if we take this same thing, we look at the active homes on the market, then we're going to put little squares in there. This is where our property fits. It's always good to be on top of the price, but you want to be at the bottom of the square footage, because if people are buying 2,000 square feet homes, but they'd like to have a 2,400 square foot home, if they can do that buying your property, that puts us in a better position. Again, when you sit down, this gets explained a little bit better. Now, I've thrown in a few bonus things, and these bonus things are little isms and little what you need to know, little rules you need to know. There are literally thousands of brokers and on the east side, and there's, I don't know what the number is now, 23,000 brokers total in Washington State. So there are half of those brokers aren't even working. They're not even doing a thing. They have a license. They're your friend. They have a license. They can help you out and not charge you very much. Okay, that's all fine. We'll talk about that in a minute as well. Most do not keep up with what's going on in the market, or legal issues, which can really affect you. There are full commission brokers and there's discount brokers. There's full service brokers and there's limited service brokers. Depending on what it is you're doing, depending on your knowledge, your true active current knowledge level, you may not need full service. You may not need this. So it might be okay to go ahead and get a discount broker that doesn't really do very much. Usually not. But the legal exposure from the broker's mistakes can cost you the transaction, the home, and far more beyond the close of the sale. The legal exposure. So for any reason whatsoever, their knowledge, their experience, and their legal information that they can share with you. Hire the broker that will get the job done. This should make sense. Hire the broker should get the job done. But where's your expectation? What do you know? What do you really expect? The right realtor is not an expense. The right realtor is truly a profit center for you. The right realtor should earn their commission when the transaction closes. You should never question, gosh, why did we work with that person? At the end, you should know you got the best deal or the best terms for your transaction. And gosh, I'm sure glad that we had that person to help us out. The relationship with your broker, whether it's a family, friend, spouse, shouldn't come into the equation. The commission that they charge, whether it's a discounted broker or full commission broker, that shouldn't come into discussion unless you've got a broker that is very knowledgeable, very experienced, and they're willing to do it for you for a little bit less money. Well, maybe that's the right broker. But again, you're going to have to interview people to make sure you find out that happens. So list price is a strategy. List price is a strategy. It is not your sold price. Your list price is a strategy to get more feet and eyeballs into the house. So buyers, when you're looking at a list price, know this. The list price is not the sold price. It's a price to get feet and eyeballs in the house. The temptation to look at the list price and say, that's something I don't have in here. The list price doesn't mean a damn thing, because it could be low, it could be high. The buyer's offer price for sellers doesn't mean a damn thing, because it could be low, it could be high. It's the negotiation and the price that everybody comes together with. That's what's important. Now, presentation, transparency will bring top dollar. Buyers, you always feel more comfortable if you know everything about the house. You're going to bring a higher offer. Sellers, your buyer is going to feel more comfortable, and you're going to be able to sleep at night not worrying about how much money you're going to get for your house. So home flips are your competition. Home flips are your competition. Moving on. What buyers and sellers should deliver. What buyers want and sellers should deliver. This just makes sense. If this is what they want, they'll pay more for it. And buyers, if you find what you want, you'll pay more for it. It just makes sense. Finding the next home isn't a DIY project. So buyers, this is really for you. It's not a DIY project. Lazy brokers and the internet have talked a lot of people into the thought that I can do this on my own. And this is the thought process. When I find the right house, I'll just find some agent to write it up and I'll get a discount. All right, but what do they know about you? What do they know about strategy? What do they know about the end product? Do they really know the mechanics of putting an offer together? Do they understand the legalities? Now you're going to be interviewing brokers to present an offer on a property. And what if you don't get that property? Now, are you going to work with that person or throw that person away, do it again, and find somebody else? The next one is, I'm going to look around until I find a property that I'll just have the listing agent represent me and I can get a discount. That's all fine and good also, but they become a dual agent. In our market, it's a limited dual agent, which means they cannot really represent you. All they can do is babysit the transaction and make sure the transaction legally moves forward. They can't help the seller. They can't help the buyer. Anything you tell them, they have to tell the seller. Anything the seller tells them, they have to tell the buyer once that dual relationship is created. So you don't really win. You're best off in all situations. Find a great experienced broker that keeps up with what's going on in the marketplace and the legal issues. So meet with the lender before you even start the process. I think we're going to go buy a house. Great. Well, how much can we afford? I don't know. Let's jump on the internet. No. Meet with the lender. Find out really what is going on in the mortgage industry. What are the projections for interest rates? What kind of loan programs are out there? Are there any that will help you with assisted down payment? Is there any program out there that is going to be better for you if you're going to own a house for a shorter period of time? Your lender can help you with that. Then find a real estate broker that will go through the market, the process, the protections in the purchase contract. The purchase contract, what's in there to protect you so you don't have to be afraid to write an offer. Using the one home system, we'll get into that later, and then touring homes with your realtor. You going out there and just looking at homes doesn't help your realtor help you. We need to know what it is you're looking at. What are your hot buttons? What do you really want? Are your search parameters expanding or reducing? We need to know that all the way through. January 1st, 2024, a new law came in effect in Washington State. Every buyer must sign a buyer agency agreement with a broker before the broker can show them properties. Now, of course, there's going to be brokers that don't do this, that break the law. My worry about that is if somebody's willing to break the law and put this transaction in jeopardy, what else are they willing to do? Are they really out for themselves, or are they out to really protect you and do the best job for you? That's for you to decide. A broker must have that agency, though. Identifies the expected services from the broker and the compensation that the broker is going to get. You'll go through that with your broker when you get there. The buyers promise compensation to the buyer broker. The seller might offer compensation to the buyer broker. And in that case, at closing, the compensation from the seller gets credited to this commission structure or the compensation structure. And if it's less than the amount that's promised by the buyer pays the addition. It gets put on to the settlement statement as a buyer expense. So make sure you go through all this with your buyer broker before you start looking at homes. So this was a lot of information, and thank you so much for watching this. Again, this was a class I gave to brokers, and it's really this transparency movement that we're into right now. I think it's great for everybody to understand how this can be done, how it should be done, and what you can expect of your broker. So contact your favorite broker if you're planning on making a move sometime, well, I don't know, in the next 2-6 months. If you're planning to do it, contact your broker. Start going through this. It's always best to plan ahead. Or you can go to my website, rex2020.com, and kind of peruse around. Go through. We've got information. Here's what we do with buyers. Here's how we deal with sellers. There's also some benefits in there. You might qualify for a reduced commission. Go in there and find out what it is that you can learn, and contact me if you have any questions. Again, thanks so much, and and you have a great day.